very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Friday edition of the show. And me, Adeba. Well, tonight on the show, we will be taking a look at the upcoming FIFA Club World Cup. We'll be looking at the Women's African Cup of Nations. We will also be looking at some of the things happening in Nigeria. We'll give you a slice of archery on the show. We'll also talk about ladies in sports. It's been 10 years for them. They've been around. And of course, they've been recognizing and rewarding a few sports teams who have done well for the nation. That's the outlook of the show tonight. Sit back, relax, as we take you on a trip across the money-spinning world of sports. As you already know, it's a two-man show. My colleague Austin Okonakpan is suited and ready as we go along on this ride.
Sport greetings to you, and of course, our numerous viewers from all over the world. Still an action-packed world of sports, and thank God it's Friday. Yes, the European League is on break, but there's so much to talk about, particularly it's the silly season where players get to move from one club to another. Coaches also get to move. Thomas Frank has, sealed that deal from Brentford to Tottenham. That one is generating some conversations right here in England. The media say, maybe Daniel Levy should have just waited for a bit. Let's see if Postecoglou will give us something interesting to talk about in season 3, because he has already told us that, season 2 in series, season 3 is always better than, season 2. But hey, coaches are hired to be fired. I know there's so much for us to talk about tonight, and I'm so pumped up for it. Let's go.
All right. Same here as well. But let me quickly introduce our guest in the Lagos studio, Olumide James Akombi joins us tonight. Olumide, greetings to you. Thanks for being here with us this lovely Friday evening.
Yeah, good evening, Yemi. Good evening to our viewers. It's good to be here. And of course, shout out to Austin right there.
All right, there's a lot to pick from, like I said, but let's start with the ladies. Always good to start with the ladies. Ladies in sports, I mean, you've been hearing about them and their giant strides. And of course, it's been 10 years. One of the things they've done this year to mark their presence on the scene for 10 years is the introduction of invitational tournament and facilitating discussion between athletes, sponsors, and industry leaders to drive investment in women's sports. As part of activities for the two-day events, the historic under-19 women's cricket team featured on day one, where they shared their experiences and success with the others. We all remember that team, how they surprised all of us, blazed the trail for Nigerian cricket, and of course, they set a marker, laid down the marker, that is. And of course, the junior Yellow Greens, as you know, secured its first ever ICC Women's Under-20 Women's T20 World Cup win in Malaysia, defeating New Zealand in January. Let's take some reactions from that. We talked so much on the ladies in sport, but let's take some reaction. We'll come back and talk some more.
Personally, it means a lot to me for my brand and for the sports and Nigeria cricket entirely. So it means a lot to us, and of course we have so many other athletes who are coming up like this, and definitely that's what we wish for. And going into the tournament, we actually had the targets, we had plans to use this means to introduce the sports to Nigeria as a whole and the world, and of course with a lot of training, a lot of success, in the tournament. That actually came to reality, and that was actually the best part of it all in the tournament.
I feel so very, very happy because I'm seeing other young girls here around, and me too, because it's hard to even see girls playing cricket, and some people, they will be surprised that you are playing cricket, and this will help us grow and make cricket known to Nigerians.
I think it is good actually for the sports, because I've watched the sports grow over time and become something that's really big and exciting, so it's really nice to have such a recognition.
Going to that World Cup it meant so much to Nigeria. It was almost like we won the World Cup because it was the first time time a female team is qualifying for the World Cup. So it meant so much to us, and ever since, I can tell you, we had massive improvement in terms of growth, in terms of development, in terms of the number of students and participants to be able to reach out to. So that's the main thing. We're trying to reach out to a lot of grassroots. We are doing a lot of grassroots development to ensure that the game we keep, is consistent, and we keep having more girls, just like the one for the under-19.
Initially, there was a plan, a growth strategy plan, but because of the performance of these wonderful ladies that we are celebrating today, even at the Ladies in Sports, the whole strategy had to be rechanged. In fact, the NCF had to relaunch a strategy. Currently, we're trying to ensure that we recruit about 250,000 players every year on an annual basis into the game of cricket. So that performance at the World Cup has just motivated the board of Nigerian Federation, Cricket Federation, to aspire for more things and put Nigeria on the map and ensure that we're among the top 3 cricketing nations in Africa.
All right. It's all about breaking barriers and changing the narrative. Ladies in sports, honoring the under-19 cricket team, especially in this part of the world where, one of the ladies said it, you really don't see too many ladies involved in sports. Then again, to see some of them excel doing it. And that's why you could understand why the ovation is loud for what the ladies achieved, and also the Cricket Federation also sharing their thoughts on how, of course, the ladies made us proud. Also, I just want to get your thoughts on this. We wax lyrical about the ladies, and it's only fitting that the ladies in sports, while celebrating their own 10 years on the scene, also picked out these ladies to celebrate them for that achievement.
I love it, Yemi. I love it so much, particularly when you understand the growth. Let me start by giving, a special shout out to Tega and the team at Ladies in Sports Conference. 10 years already. Just like yesterday, I was with her in Lagos when she was birthing this, and it's 10 years already. And honoring the under-19 women's cricket team is just special. I saw Lucky Paiti. I've been covering Lucky Paiti since she was, I think, 12. And now she's the captain of the Nigeria women's under-19 team. They went to the World Cup in Malaysia, and they stunned the world. It was a colossal achievement, beating New Zealand. Look, I was talking to the president of the Nigeria Cricket Federation. I said, you don't know how massive this is. They beat New Zealand, they beat Ireland, a cricket test playing nation. Before they went to the World Cup, they were already beating teams also. That's it. They beat Pakistan, they beat Canada, they beat Canada. So this is a pure testament of what you sow, you reap. First, the Nigeria Cricket Federation, it was a long-term plan that, look, we want to develop this talent. And for Tega and her team to say, at a time where everybody wants to just talk, when you talk about women's sports in Nigeria, at some quarters, it's just Super Falcons you will hear. But seeing these ladies come out here with their coaches, and their technical advisors and officials from the NCF, this will only just spur them, to do some more, because when you come out to this sort of event, it's a clear testament. I see the president of the Nigeria Cricket Federation there. I see our former NFF First Vice President, Seyi Akiwumi. That is support right there. And I love that we're giving this support to the women, young women, because that's what we've been talking about, equality, inclusion, as you do for the men, do for the women. And these ladies, they've gone to the world stage to announce Nigeria in cricket. Cricket, amazing story, Shout out to them once again. Shout out to Ladies in Sport. Let's listen to Seyi Akiwumi. You saw him right there in the picture. I just been saying things that he saw at the Ladies in Sports conference. Listen.
Something about that sounds like an accumulation of successes from this one. I've seen people I hadn't seen in years, and then a highlight for me is the cricket team that's here. And the president of the Cricket Association. Cricket has done us very proud in the past few years, particularly in the past few months. And then the children in school here. So it just feels like an accumulation that, look, when you have various numbers, I have a sum. So today seems like a sum, but it also seems like a new start. And I'm sure bouncing from here, there'll be a lot more. And they've given us a hint of what's to come. and it's very exciting.
Some a hint of what's to come. And Olumide, what this means is, look, you cannot rest. The reward for success is more hard work to keep achieving success. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree with you, Austin. I mean, they've raised the bar so much now that you cannot calm down. You have to keep going up. And how best do you do this? Sometimes it's not just discovering these talents. It's not just going to participate at tournaments. Maybe events like organizing events like this and then rewarding them can send another message to the girl child out there, because we are talking about the girl child now. We're talking about the female sports. And it's interesting to know that when you look around athletics, football, you can talk about Falcons, you can talk about the Ese Brumes, the Blessing Oborodudu, you can keep mentioning names, and then you can come over to cricket and then see things like this happen. So, yeah, I quite agree with you, Austin. When you have done this much, the only thing you can do is just to aspire to just keep doing more, get more talents in, get into more tournaments, get that experience, and you see where you go from there.
Yeah, I also like the fact that the Ladies in Sports conference highlighting and beaming the searchlight on what some of these ladies have been doing. And like we said, some of them are blazing the trail, it must be said. I mean, 5 years ago, you probably wouldn't be talking about Nigeria and cricket.
No.
Not to talk of Nigeria beating New Zealand, some of those well-established cricket teams. And so, hopefully, we get to do more. Hopefully, we get to celebrate more ladies in the days, the months, and years to come. And of course, the mentality changes. All right, let's move on now and also talk about a sport that you don't get to hear much about, but of course, it brings. You can win a lot of medals in it if you participate. Let's talk about archery on the show tonight. Talk about the inaugural edition of the Zen Archery Lagos International Open Tournament, as you can see on your screen. And of course, we had the initiator with us on the show a few months back. And of course, the Lagos Sports Commission also involved in it. The tournament will begin on June the 18th to the 21st at the Mobology Johnson Arena in Lagos. The event, it must be said, the first of its kind gathering of elite archers, bringing together over 100 athletes, multiple competition categories, club teams, in a world-class display of skill, precision, and sportsmanship. I must confess, there are things you see in films, especially these medieval films, and you think, well, those kind of skills and talent has disappeared with time. But when you begin to see tournaments like this, Olumide, you know that you can win laurels by being good in this kind of events. And to think that we're going to have over 100 athletes converge in Lagos, show their skills and talents in multiple, and that's what also excites me, multiple competition categories.
Yeah, and it's a welcoming development. I must say that I don't think this is a sport that is very popular here, but it's growing very fast, very, very fast. And yes, it's like I said, it's more about precision, like you have mentioned, the bow and arrow thing. You have to be focused. You have to. There's a lot of what's the word now? I'm looking for a word to just nail it, justify it, kind of. There's a lot of self-awareness in terms of you're aiming at something, and then you should be able to, pinpoint what exactly you want to do. So different categories. Another growing sport, again, like I said, and it's interesting again to know that we just left cricket. We've known us to be football, maybe athletics. You talk about basketball, but other sports are springing up. There's flag football. Now you're talking about archery. Let's see how this goes. And it's good to know that Lagos, Nigeria, can host events like this with so much individuals coming in different categories to showcase their talent.
All right, so we're looking forward to it. Write it down on your calendar, June 18. But let's take some reactions from that presser, of course, which was to herald the upcoming tournament, the inaugural edition of the Lagos International Open Tournament?
Archery is a sport that gives dedication and commitment and focus. So in this regards, we want to inculcate the spirit and the game and the drive behind archery. The core essence of archery, we want to help people inculcate the core essence of archery, which is diligence, dedication, commitment, consistency, thereby even enhancing their own lives and affecting them in all ramifications of their life. Now, the short-term goals will be for us to be able to develop the skill sets, to be able to compete globally, to attract new talents in sports, to attract also development in sports. When I say development, facilities, infrastructure, talent, skills, have the necessary coaches that will be able to develop the right talents. And then the long-term goals will be able to show to the world that, you know what, Nigeria can do it. We might have not been there in the international scenes for years. I mean, archery has been practiced for donkey years, ages. But, you know, one thing is when Nigeria enters the scene, everything changes. And this is an announcement to the world that Nigeria is about to enter the scene. Everything is about to change. And when Nigerians open eye to something, you know that they get to be the best at it. So we're looking forward to the next Olympics, to the next 2 Olympics, to be able to even develop stars that can represent Nigeria and make Nigeria proud.
An athlete, to get better with every tournament you go into. And our goal or objective is to begin to get Nigerians participate in archery at the Olympic level and at the world archery level. And the first steps to doing this is to have the best athletes come together to compete and bring out the best in themselves, basically. So this is what we are doing with the Archery Open, to begin to get athletes to compete and experience the highest level of skill, to be able to develop their efficiency at the sport of archery. So what we have done is, at this tournament, we are going to be using the World Archery regulations to score, so that it is at that standard. 2, we are going to be launching the ranking for Nigeria. So all the athletes will be ranked based on their performance at that tournament. And what is going to happen is that every year we are doing a tournament, we are going to be using that ranking. So that feeds into getting prepared to ensure that it is recognized by the World Archery when we get to that stage of qualification.
All right, so I mean, a lot that has been said, but I like what Emmanuel Eleke said, Austin. If Nigeria decides to enter the scene, you have to pay attention.
That's right, you know, because I mean, we've got the talent. We just need the dedication, the direction, leadership, you know. So we've been speaking to Emmanuel for a long time with the Zen Archery Club, and I mean, you could see that they are truly working, you know. And with this Lagos International Open Tournament, is another testament that they are getting closer to their objective. And yes, when Nigeria is in the building, you got to listen, because we get in there to make a statement, you know. And that's why I keep saying to sports administrators in the country, we just need to find a way to sustain it. And in sustaining it, it means you need to give it attention, you need to invest, you need to look at countries that are doing it and they're doing it well. Look at their model and see ways that you can improve on it, you know. And we've said it over and over again that Nigeria is too big for a country to just be known with just football, you know. I like that we just talked about what our ladies did in cricket. You know, now we're talking about archery. You know, back in the day, we did these things and we just allowed the glamour of football to take over it. So with this sort of conversations, Yemi, and this deliberate planning, execution, implementing strategies that is geared towards development, when you have over 100 athletes competing in multiple categories at this Lagos International Open Tournament, for the likes of Emmanuel and his team that won't compete, it's for them to, you know, have something to go look at again to say, how did we do? What are the ways we can improve? What are the lessons learned, you know? And what kind of support can they get from the National Sports Commission that is tasked with that mandate of building a sports economy? I'm sure Lumide wants to say something about this, but that's when we come back from this break. Let's go on this quick break now. When we come back, there's so much to talk about. We are getting ready for the WAFCON. Don't go anywhere. Stay. Welcome back, Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Just before we went on that break, I told you we talked about the inaugural edition of the Zen Archery Lagos International Open Championship. Olumide, how excited are you? It's archery. We're going to be having, athletes from about 16 clubs right there in Lagos. Is it good for sports development in Nigeria?
Yeah, Austin, it is. One thing for me, my take on that would be the fact that they are not playing for nothing. They are going to be ranked with the global standard profile. That is big for me. So athletes come to these events in different categories, knowing that they are not just there to have fun, just to go and play or, showcase their talents. It's beyond that. Now you're going to be ranked.
Serious business.
Serious business, and globally you can begin to compete. That's a lot of development for this sport.
Yeah, in fact, it's happening right here in Lagos. Just like Emmanuel said, the world should know that we're capable of doing these things. And it's not new. We've been doing it in the past. Austin also said we let it sleep somehow, but we need to start holding on to some of these things. And the fact that, look, this is sports, there's a lot of revenue if we do it right. And there's enough to go around for everybody. And I hope the administrators will not be narrow-minded people and think about the things they can get for themselves. There's enough on the table for everybody. Just put the structure in place, and you see what happens. All right, let's move on to women's football. And, of course, we'll talk about women's football on the continent. Let me get Olumide to quickly talk about this. I always like to ask people, women's football tournament on the continent, which one is it for you, WAFCON, HOCON? Which sounds better? What would be your preference?
When you say that, I'm not sure.
You have a preference?
I have any. I'm not sure I have.
You just go with the flow?
Yeah.
All right. So, women's football, our next port of call, that's where we're going. And, of course, it's 22 days ago, just in case you're wondering. And, of course, there's a campaign out there. Let's make it 10. All right. Hopefully, the Super Falcons will get to do that for us. I'll go across in a bit. Yeah, I'm going to cross now to talk about this. 2024, well, should have been held last year, but it's going to be held this year. Since the disruption of COVID, we're used to things like this. So we're in 2025, but it's 2024. So just note that it is officially 22 days to go. Of course, our duty here is to continue with this countdown as we move towards that tournament, which will feature our own, of course, the Super Falcons of Nigeria, and we're hoping they make it grand for us when they take to the field. Our focus tonight is Group C. Let's see the teams in Group C as we talk about the teams that will be in action in Group C. Well, of course, Group C, you have Banyana. I mean, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have pronounced that name with the sort of seriousness I'm attaching to it now, but you have to give them their flowers. They've earned the respect. So I'll say it again with a lot of respect. Banyana in Group C. Of course, Ghana, Mali, and Tanzania in that group. You'll be tempted to say South Africa and Ghana, but this is football. Be careful. Be very careful. All right, let's take a look at the fixtures. That's the next thing we're going to do on the show. Group C fixtures, there you have it. South Africa against Ghana. I like when tournaments start with this. South Africa, Ghana, whatever happens between those two countries set a tone for what's going to happen in the group. Mali and Tanzania, all on July 7th. Of course, the opening fixtures in Group C in that group. Then on July 11th, you have Ghana taking on Mali. Then you have Tanzania up against Banyana of South Africa. Then the final group game with South Africa, Mali, Ghana, Tanzania. Olumide, let me get your thoughts quickly on this. To be honest, we've probably not seen much of these teams, but of course, when it comes to pedigree, Ghana, South Africa will get your attention.
Yeah.
Not really much known about Tanzania and Mali. I no disrespect to them, but your thoughts. Should we be forgiven if we just close our eyes and say, well, Ghana, South Africa. Well, not in that order.
Yeah.
South Africa, Ghana,
Ghana.
to the next round.
Yeah, it's clear. These are two teams that are in top 10 ranked teams in Africa. And when you look at the number of appearances they made also when it comes to this tournament, 13 for South Africa, 12 for Ghana. South Africa, they are the defending champions. They finished 5 times runners-up just because Nigeria will not allow them get it. Ghana have suffered the same fate also. And so these are two teams that the pedigree of football, women football in Africa is huge. You can look at them globally, what they have done also. And then you look at the other two teams, Mali, Tanzania, they are really not big names. But this is something about tournament where you can have upsets. If you look at them and you underrate them, what you would have,
pay the price.
You pay the price for it. So I think that here it's clear that we'll probably have the 3 teams go through. Definitely you expect South Africa as the defending champions and what they have done in recent time to make it. Ghana should make it. And then the other 2 will fight maybe for a best losers position.
If it's available.
If it's available, exactly. Based on how the other 2 groups, how the third place teams finish.
All right. I mean, let me go to Austin now. The question on my mind, really, is not to even talk about South Africa. We know what South Africa is capable of. But if you're a Ghanaian, if you're a lover of football, I mean, not just being Ghanaian, if African football, you look at the team that rivaled the Super Falcons for a long time, then somehow the Lionesses from Cameroon pushed them off for that, position. Then from nowhere, South Africa. Then again, you're beginning to look at Zambia, Morocco now. So it looks like they've been pushed down the pecking order, but they still have pedigree in women's football, it must be said. So do you think we're going to see a rejuvenated Ghana? Or, some of the things that have happened to them in the past, they've not been able to shake it off?
Mental, particularly when leadership is involved, when it affects one, it affects all. I think that's what happened to Ghana. But I spoke with Winifred Schaefer. He is the technical advisor to Ghana Football Association and the Black Stars. And he told me right after the Unity Cup that Ghana is actually resetting their football and that he likes the things that he's seeing. And he mentioned this WAFCON, that they will use it to look at their women. And I agree with Olumide because tournament mode football is different. Remember when I told you that Jose Pizarro might not be a fantastic coach, but before going to the AFCON, I said it that, look, this guy might just get the world talking about him and his Super Eagles team. When they played football, that wasn't admirable, but they got to the final, And if not that they were unlucky, they would have just come back home and everybody would start praising them. For Ghana's football, they are beginning to look inwards. And that's the right step to take, So the women, we just look at West Africa and say, okay, we give it to Nigeria and maybe Cameroon, but we need to be in the conversation. I think it was for the Olympics qualifiers that we played them, and it's always tense when it's Nigeria versus Ghana. But there was some positives in there for the Ghanaian women, and that's what they really want to take into this WAFCON. Disregard South Africa, just go there and prove a point that this is Ghana versus South Africa, irrespective of the Bayana and their form, And with women's football, we've seen it over and over again. When Zambia stunned Morocco, I said it on this show. I told you they lost the first leg, and I said, look, it's not over because this is women's football. It's slippery, it's fluid, it's raw. And that's why, if you take a look at Mali also, they've been trying to get into the conversation. The only team that we've not really had reasons to talk about is Tanzania. But how much do we know of the regional development that is happening with football in Tanzania? That might be the motivation that they might just use, to come into this. And football is, as I always say, you blink, it ends in a draw in your first game. Your second game, you play another draw. Your third game now, you start panicking and you're out of the competition. So I'm sure South Africa, they know this, that they cannot be complacent against these teams. And let's not forget that rivalry. It is West versus South. So that would again give the fixture the kind of competitiveness I would expect from it. So on paper, we respect South Africa, we know what they can do, but Ghana might just use this WAFCON to, put some life into their football. And that's what football offers to us, when we least expect it. So let's wait for the competition to start, and then we'll get us talking.
All right. So let's see. Fingers crossed, as we always say. All right, let's go out. Well, should I say the next big thing, or the biggest thing about to happen? FIFA Club World Cup, of course, will begin on Sunday. There's so much talk, enough to talk about. Is from the mouth-watering prize money to be shared among the clubs, to the criteria that some of us struggle to understand, to the beautiful stadiums that these matches will be played, to the stories about tickets and all that. But it has come to stay, Olumide, and that's the point. So in 3 days' time, in the United States, we're going to see, for the first time, a 32-team FIFA Club World Cup. Of course, meaning that we're not going to see the Confederations Cup anymore because it will take a slot. And I want to get your thoughts. The idea was for us to have the best players all over the world. Some might argue that that's not what we're getting.
And I disagree with them.
Anyone who says that?
Yes, because these are teams that are representing their federation.
Best for the past 3-4 years.
Yes, so you can't tell me they are not the best.
Maybe your own favorite player is not there.
Exactly, that's what you should say. Maybe your team is not involved in this one, but yes.
But supporters of Liverpool would argue that we're the best in the English Premier League this season, we're the best in Spain this season. But of course, we know the parameters was before this year, last 3 years.
Yeah.
But do they have any reason to feel, why did you make that kind of rule? Shouldn't the winners of this year be included as well?
So it should be that way. But they use coefficient.
Yes.
So coefficient is about consistency. So
which is what brought PSG in.
Yeah. So I think it's on merit. You can win this season, but it doesn't.
What have
count.
you been doing?
Yeah. What have you? Yeah. It's about process. It's not about now. It's not quick fix. It's about what has been done, the foundation laid, how competitive you have been. These guys have been. If you mention Liverpool now, and I'll tell you, City and Chelsea last won the Champions League from England. So hey, when last did Liverpool? Yes, you've played maybe more finals in recent time than these two, but these two, they've been victorious,
consistent.
Yeah, and they've been very consistent. So I think we're getting the best players. And I think we're getting the best teams on merit based on coefficient because, like you have said, it's about what you have done over time. And I love this format. In fact, it excites me a lot because I've asked questions of how do you say, for example, Benfica is the best team in the world and they just play 2 games. And then you say they are the best club in the world. No way.
But give them a fighting chance.
Yes, you give the rest to fight. So let's get proper into a tournament.
All right.
So I'm excited about this.
All right, Olumide is excited. I'm excited as well. So I'll go across the screen. On Sunday, this is what you're going to have because that's when it's going to start. FIFA Club World Cup, the 32-team format starting this year. Harley will take on Inter Milan. Bayern Munich will take on Auckland FC. Paris Saint-Germain will take on Atletico Madrid. Palmeiras will take on FC Porto. These matches will be played on Sunday. Let's talk about Monday as well. Matches will be played on Monday. Botafogo will take on Seattle Sounders. Chelsea will take on Los Angeles Football Club. Boca Juniors will take on Benfica. These are the matches to be played on Monday. Very, very interesting matches to be played in this one. Let me quickly yield to Austin. There's this debate, we started the year with, and you were in this conversation. I remember some of the things you said then. I don't know if you still hold those views. Some have said, oh, look, you are loading these players with more matches and all that. But a lot of the research has gone into all this. To win this tournament, you probably have to win 7 matches. If you don't go as far, you probably will play just 3. And if you were in pre-season, you will be playing. So the question now is, can we really say that they're being overloaded? And especially, you look at the prize money, mouth-watering prize money So how do you balance all of that? You know, do you still feel that these players being loaded with matches, some will say, look, if you're playing professional football, it's the money that counts. So how do you balance all of that? I personally don't think if you're going to play 7 matches to win this, and if you were in preseason, you will play, I don't think they're being overloaded. But what do you think?
Then it was Rodri that was complaining that they were playing too much games. And remember, I told him to just shut up, because right after that, he went to the Euros and he gave us a fantastic performance. Players will complain, and I remember a club executive from Real Madrid saying, when you are injured and not playing, the club is paying you. When you are not in your best of form, the club is paying you, and you are not complaining. Now is the time for the club to find a way to keep their revenues close, you know, keep more commercial importance, still give the fans something to talk about, and also on the coaching aspect, have another look at the players, particularly this period where the leagues are not, you know, functional. You know, so yeah, I mean, look, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. And FIFA president Gianni Infantino told us clearly, we're expanding this tournament, we're putting more money into it because we're going to get more money from it. So what do you think Real Madrid and the big clubs coming to this competition will be thinking? Okay, we need to also find a way that we will get more money from this. It's 32 teams, you know, they're playing football. The fans, anything that makes you bring the world's best players together, fans are definitely going to talk about it. And we're in a world of streaming, likes, shares, tweets, retweets, and all of that. This is the digital age where people are on the go and they are watching the action. So there's money that is going around for everybody. So that talks about, oh, players are being loaded with too much this and that and that. Now, look at Pep. Pep isn't joking with this competition. He has used it. He has signed about 4 players now. He wants to use it just in time to see how those guys are going to fit into his squad. That's a coach who doesn't like what happened to his team last season, and he wants to correct it. You know what? Let's take... I mean, it is what it is with professional footballers. When it doesn't favor them, they will come out and do the pity cry so that we'll say, oh, well, they're making so much money from this, and they know that they love it. They know.
All right, I agree. They know, and this tournament is going to be happening in the business capital of the world.
There we go.
So look, a lot of money to be made. Americans know how to turn anything into a money-spinning event. So it's going to be great. All right, Austin talked about clubs using this opportunity. You know, the transfer window was open for 10 days that these clubs can quickly get player. It was short. It's going to be open later again. One of the players that would headline Real Madrid's team is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Liverpool fans angry with him, some angry that while he was with Liverpool, he was learning Spanish, and by the time he got to Spain, for his introduction, his Spanish was flawless. Some are still angry with him. But let's quickly listen to Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course, sharing his thoughts and talking about how happy he is to be joining Real Madrid.
A day that I've been waiting for a long time now. Very excited, very happy, very proud to be here. It's a dream to be here. But you know, there's still a lot of hard work to do, and I'm excited to get started straight away. It's an exciting time for me. Yeah, a big reason why I joined is to be a part of that amazing history that the club's got, be a part of the success going forward, joining an exciting young team with a lot of potential that, you know, has the mindset to go and win trophies. So I'm very excited to get started.
All right, good one. We're pressed for time. There are a lot of angles I could look at this. But he says, look, I'm ready to play anywhere, defense, midfield. But here is Spain. It's not England. They tend to be very unforgiving if you don't hit the ground running. Yeah. There have been many players who have been bought with huge signings, came to Madrid. It was almost over before it started. So where do you think Trent, without kicking the ball, I know it's hard, but where do you think Trent, do you think, look, just stay at right wing back where your strength is? Quick one.
Yes, let him play in his natural position, which is the wing back position. Then he can join the attack. Stretch the pitch wide. We know what he can do. Dead balls, the passing.
No need for any adventure into
abilities.
midfield.
Nah, don't. You have enough people in midfield to handle that.
So don't complicate
Yeah,
matters.
you have Valverde, you have Bellingham.
Okay.
No, come on, just
All
stay with what you know how to do.
I wish we had time. There are some things I wanted to say, but I'm not going to be able to say. All right, I'll see my chip in a few seconds before we wrap it up on the show. Trent Alexander-Arnold, very happy to be joining Real Madrid, wants to win with Real Madrid.
And you can tell that, look, he's been getting ready. He said he's been learning Spanish for some months, and that excited Perez, who now understands that, look, this guy really has Real Madrid in his heart, And you look at Trent, it's a calm guy who understands his football, And he said it's a dream come true that he wants to give Real Madrid, the latter part of his football, after giving Liverpool 20 years. So let's see what this will mean for him. He really wanted his jersey number 66, but Spanish rules don't allow players go beyond 1 to 25. And so he had to go for number 12. Number 12 used to be Camavinga's shirt, and then I think the player left and Camavinga switched to 6. So Trent Alexander-Arnold will be wearing jersey number 12 at Real Madrid. It's a new experience. We wish him all the best. I don't want here to talk about it if he does give us some exploits. That's the show. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwa. And in everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right, it's a wrap here in Lagos as well. But first, I'm going to thank Olumide James Akombi for his time on the show.
Yeah, good to be here. Exciting time. A lot of education and a lot of sports out there.
All right. That's the show today. We hope that you've enjoyed everything we've been able to bring to you. We urge you to enjoy your weekend. You'll see us again next week. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.